Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Happiness is not by chance, but by choice. I welcome one and all for 93rd episode of Creative Online Talks. Myself, Supriya Naika, hosting this program. Creative. Creative is a group of people who are eager to gain new knowledge, and creative means creativity, active means activeness. To be active, we need creativity. One minute, sorry. Creative means to be active, we need creative thinking. Knowledge Square is our tagline. Sharing of knowledge increases our knowledge. Vision of Creative is to build constructive thinking on various domains. Our main focus on non-textual, non-academic, non-syllabus related concept. Every Saturday, we organize online talks on different topics. And we live stream our program on YouTube channel, Creative GBD. Creative is thankful to all our resource persons for engaging us with their knowledge. Today's creative topic is why should you learn Python programming? To present this, we have Mr. Ajit sir with us today. This talk helps to learn and explore the fascinating world of Python programming. Python is a versatile language that has gained tremendous popularity in recent years due to its simplicity and its ability to handle complex tasks. In this talk, we will have the opportunity to learn from experts in the field who will share their knowledge and experience with us. I call Raghavi, creative volunteer, to introduce today's speaker. Over to Raghavi.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Raghavi. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Ajit sir, an assistant professor at Nagarjuna College of Management, studies in Chikkabalapura, brings with over 12 years of expertise. He holds an MTech degree from VTU and is currently pursuing his PhD at Presidency University, Bangalore. His contribution to the academic community is not limited to teaching alone. Ajit sir has published research papers in several renowned journals. He has also worked as a freelance technical trainer, imparting knowledge on various programming languages to engineering students and delivering technical talks at several engineering colleges. His professional memberships from ISTE, IAENG, and IRED stand as a testimony to his dedication towards his craft. Passionate about graphic design, Ajit sir has showcased his artistic skills by creating covers for more than 200 books on Kannada and English literature, illustrations for story and poetry books, and logos for many organizations. His creativity extends to digital paintings, which he has exhibited and lectured on various educational institutions. He has even won gold and silver medals at several national level art competitions and was awarded the Chikkabalapura District Rajyotsava Award 2022 for digital painting. Ajit sir, passionate for teaching and creativity, has resulted in the publication of two books, namely Fundamentals of OOP using C++ and Handbook on Python Programming. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Ajit sir, and thank you Creative for this opportunity.
Thank you, Raghavi. I welcome Ajit sir and all participation for today's talk. Over to Ajit sir.
Thank you so much. Probably I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, probably even my screen is also visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks to Creative and Raghavi and Supriya Madam for a warm introduction. Thank you so much. Before I start my talk, I would like to tell you that one thing which is It's not so easy that we can learn, or I'm going to teach you a Python programming in 1 hour. So this is just a overview, what I can deliver you within 1 hour. Probably a beginner who really wants to start Python programming and what is he expecting from a Python programming is what I can deliver today. But I'll be very happy to be a part of Creactive even in the future as well. If any students are interested, I'm always ready to teach them out. Okay, let me start my session. Why should you learn Python programming? So here, there are two different words. You might be fascinated or you might be wondering, what is this Python? Python is a snake name. What is this Python and what is this programming is all about? Why should I learn this Python programming? See, the term programming, first of all, I would like to address what is this programming. And then I would like to talk about Python programming. And then the third part, which I would like to talk about is why should you learn Python programming? So these three are the areas where I'm going to talk about today. So when it comes to this programming, what generally we call it as a programming language is generally any person wants to communicate with each other, sharing their experiences, sharing their knowledge, whatever it might be. So you need a language for the sake of communication or for the sake of interfacing each other. So here, language plays a major role. The reason why a language plays a major role is because if I want to communicate with a computer, definitely I need a language as well, because computer has its own language. As we know, as we are very familiar that a computer can only understand zeros and ones. So we are very much aware of it. But as a human beings, if I can only understand, if I can only remember zeros and ones and give an instruction to a computer, probably it would be a very tedious job. As we know, computer can understand zeros and ones, and as a human beings, we never can remember and give the instructions only in zeros and ones. Because we are very familiar with our regional languages, we are very familiar with the universal languages like English, or we are familiar with, as I told you, a regional language like Kannada, Telugu, whatever the languages that we are. We are very comfortable talking to each other as an individuals in our local languages or in a universal language like English. But how do you talk to a computer with the help of only zeros and ones, which is not possible? So I need to have a language where I can communicate in my own language to the computer and give the instruction to the computer so that computer can understand my language and interpret that into its own language. That means it has to translate in its own language. So that is why where a language plays a major role. So if I want to interact with a computer, a language is necessary. What we generally call it as a programming language. So what exactly a programming is? As I was talking to you, it's a communication. It's a language where I want to talk to a computer. I need a programming language. What exactly a programming is? As I told you, I have to give and talk to a computer and say the computer, this is what you have to do. That means I have to provide an instruction to a computer. Why should I give an instruction to a computer? Because it has to perform some task. It has to make that task automated. Why it has to make the task, why it has to solve, why it has to be, why it has to complete the task, or why it has to be automated is literally to solve the problems. We know that as a human beings, we are much capable than any of the computers, any of the artificial intelligence devices or robots. But despite of it, doing a same job repeatedly is a tedious job for everyone, and it's a boring job. So we definitely depend upon the computer, where the computer can perform the task very faster, and the computer will never get bored of doing this repetitive task. So as a part of it, I use this programming language to give an instruction so that I can develop a software which can automate and complete the task so that my problem, whatever that I have, is solved by the computer. So that's why we have this programming, right? So then if we have a programming languages, as I told you, which can interact with my computer and where I can solve my problem, how many types of languages we do have in computer? Computer can only understand binary language, that is zeros and ones. But I cannot remember all these languages where I have to give an instruction in my own language, probably an English like a language, what we generally call it as a high-level language. So high-level languages are being used to give an instruction to the computer so that it helps us to develop a software, make the task automated, so my problem is solved. Do we have a programming language specifically for computers? Yes, we definitely have a programming languages for computers. We have enormous number of computer languages. To name few, we have C programming, which is a very famous programming language, a C++ programming language, Java. These are the three programming languages where we are very much aware of. Probably most of our operating systems, which has been designed today as a part, I mean, even it might be a Linux operating system or a Windows operating system, it is because of a programming languages like C and C++. And once the Java came into an existence, Java is another beautiful programming language, which helped us to go to a next level to develop an applications which are required for webs. But now, when it comes to the programming languages, it's not just these 6 programming languages which I have listed out here are the only programming languages which are currently used. There are many more. You can take from A to Z. Probably you can list out all the programming languages from A to Z. I might be wrong, but so many programming languages. We have something called as a Go. We have something called as a Dart programming languages. N number of programming languages are there. So you are also aware of this R programming language. We have something called as a Ruby programming language. But apart from all these programming language, what is that? A programming language called as Python has took so much of importance in these days. Python is not a name of a snake here. It is a name of a programming language. So we have a language called as a Python, which has a major, which we use this programming language to solve a large number of problems today. Basically, when it comes to a programming languages, there are 2 types of programming languages. One is the general purpose programming language. The other one is the specific purpose programming language. So when we talk about this general purpose programming language, Python falls under general purpose programming language. Why it is called as a general purpose programming language? It's very simple. It helps us to solve a problem irrespective of domains. You take any domains, you take any kind of a technology. Today, we can see a programming language called as a Python, which will help us to solve the problems very easily. But before that, let us see who is that person who has introduced this programming language called as a Python. So we have a person called as Guido van Rossum. He's the one who has developed this Python programming, which is a wonderful programming languages, which is used today across the globe. Why this name called as a Python? Why did he keep this name called as a Python? As I told you, Python programming is nothing to do with or nothing to deal with the snakes, right? Because once Python comes into the picture, we think of this Indian rock Python. Kannadalli, we generally call it as Hebbao, right? So this is nothing to do with a snake. But this fellow who developed this programming language, Guido van Rossum, who developed this Python, he was a fan for one of the comedy shows which was broadcasted by BBC, and the name of the show was Monty Python's Flying Circus. This is the name of a comedy series where Guido van Rossum was very fond of. He liked this program, and he had a kind of a huge, what you can call it as a madness towards watching this. So he was a fan of this. So hence he coined this name called as a Python. You can see here Monty Python. So this is the Python name which was given after this show called as a Monty Python Flying Circus. And even you can see the logo. This is the logo of a Python programming, where again he has designed so that where a snake, a shape of a snake looks like. But Python is nothing to do with any of the snakes. It's purely a programming language. And he kept the name only just because he was very fond of this show called as a Monty Python's Flying Circus. Moving forward, why should I learn Python? Why should I learn Python? See here, I don't want to see every programming language, whatever that we talk today. We say that every programming language is very easy to learn. As per my knowledge, no programming language is difficult and no programming language is easier. The thing is, all the programming languages are like tools. What actually plays a major role is, what is the correct programming language that you're going to use to solve a problem? That's very, very important. So based on that, Any programming language would be easier, but here easier in the sense in a different context. I'll let you know what is that context. And any programming language would be difficult if you don't understand its grammar. Generally, in a programming language, we call it as a syntax. Now you can see that why Python has become so famous and why I have to learn this Python is because one thing which I would like to tell you, you take a programming languages like C, C++ or Java, and you start developing an application. When you start developing an application with these programming languages, you have to code 100 or 200 or 1000 lines together. At least when you look into these programming instructions being done by somebody, or you might be seeing your cousins writing some instructions in any of these programming language, you can see a large number of instructions being done, maybe 100 instructions, maybe a 200 instruction, maybe 1000 instructions. But Python, you can write those 100 lines of instructions, reducing it to 5 to 10, maybe a 5 to 10 lines. It can reduce the number of lines when you start writing an instruction through a Python. So that is why you feel that it's very easy to learn. The way that the instructions are being written with the help of a Python are so easy where anybody can understand. That means, as I told you, a Python is a high-level language which is written with the help of a language like an English, whatever that we talk today. That's an English language, what we use to write an instruction through a Python. Right? So anybody can understand it. Anybody can learn this. As I told you, you don't have to code it for 100 lines, 200 lines, or 1000 lines using Python. You can just use on a few instructions. You write only a few instructions to the Python where anybody can easily understand. As a part of it, what you have to know about it is only its grammar and what we call it as the syntax. See, any language, even for that matter, a Kannada or English, Telugu, whatever that we speak today, has a grammar, right? Whenever we are writing an instruction in a programming language, even that programming language should have a grammar. That means a set of rules has to be followed, how I should write an instruction. That's what we call it as a syntax. The syntax written in Python is very, very, very simple. It's so easy where anybody can understand what exactly it is. So when you take a programming, I don't say that C, C++, Java are difficult enough. As I told you, any programming language is easier. Parallel, it is also difficult when you don't understand its grammar. But comparing those programming languages with Python programming, the syntax part is always very, very simple. You do not have to much worry about or much think about what does this particular statement mean. So it's so easy to understand. Then we have something called as Python is an interpreted language. What is this interpretation is all about? Interpreted language is all about. So I was talking about a language. When I tell you about a language, so now, for example, I am comfortable talking Kannada, I am comfortable talking Telugu, but if I'm not comfortable talking Urdu, or if I'm not able to understand Urdu, if one of my friend is talking to me or communicating with Urdu or any other Japanese language or a Chinese language, I will not be able to understand. But still I want to communicate. What do I use for it? I use a translator. So that, because we have a Google Translator today, so if I want to learn any program, any languages, any language that you want to speak, Japanese, Chinese, whatever you have, so you have a language translator. So when you provide a language translator, you can understand what exactly it is. Even in programming language, as I told you, computer can only understand zeros and ones, but I give an instruction or I communicate to a computer with the help of a programming language where the computer will not be able to understand this high-level language. That means this high-level language has to be translated where a computer can understand it. That's what we call it as an interpreted. That means you're going to use an interpreter. Python is an interpretation programming language which translates your high-level instruction written in a Python into a machine-level language line by line. It translates line by line. So we have something called as a compiler. Compiler and interpreter are two different language translators which we use in a computer, where a high-level language gets converted into a low-level language or a machine-understandable language, generally what we call it as. But a compiler also does the operation of an interpreter. Interpreter also does the operation of the compiler. But the difference is compiler translates the whole instruction into a machine-level language at one instance of time. But interpreter is not like that. Interpreter translates the instructions, whatever that you have given, line by line. It does not convert, it does not translate as a whole, but it translates line by line. Python is exclusively an interpreted programming language, which translates the instruction written in Python line by line into a machine level code. Then we have something called as an interactive. The reason why it is called as an interactive is because as you give an instruction, as I told you, it is an interpreted language. Soon after you give an instruction, the next line you get your answer. It is so interactive. You query it, you give the instruction, you get the results immediately. It quite oftenly gives you your results will be immediately given to you so that you can again interact back to it. You give the instruction, you get the output very soon. So you do not have to worry about it, right? And then object-oriented programming is another concept where a Python is all about. So I will not much deeply dig into this, what exactly an object-oriented programming is, but I'll just give you a gist of it. Basically, whenever it comes to a programming paradigm, we have two approaches. One is procedure-oriented program. The other one is an object-oriented program. A procedure-oriented program, as the name itself says about, is like the concentration of solving a problem is only through process. How a problem can be solved, that's a process where a procedure-oriented looks for. But the procedure-oriented programming does not look for what happens to your data. But today, without a data, every part of our life today, whatever that we see, people don't run behind the money today. People run behind the data to earn money. So today, people are interested in data. Right? Everybody is interested in data. Even for now, you are probably watching an IPL. If a player hits 100, the next moment that what you do is you would like to see what is the history of this particular player. So we are much interested about the data. Object-oriented programming deals about this handling the data, not about the process. How a problem can be solved is not worried much by your object-oriented programming, but an object-oriented programming deals more about what happens to the data. How should what is going to happen to my data? How should I protect my data? How should I productively use my data? Is an object-oriented programming, where a Python is exclusively an object-oriented programming, but for some reasons it can also fall under procedure-oriented, but you can still consider a Python is an object-oriented programming language. As I told you, it is a high-level language, an exclusive and high-level language, because we use English-like instructions. I mean, English-like language is used to give an instruction here. So Python is a high-level language and general purpose. I was talking about this general purpose. The reason is, when you take a Python programming can be used to develop a game. It can be used to develop an application for an artificial intelligence or a machine learning models. You can use this to develop some IoT models. You can use them to develop some web applications. You can use them to develop some mobile applications. Though mobile applications cannot be done straight away, but still. But you name the domain, you can use your Python programming to develop any kind of applications. It is not just restricted to perform a specific task. For probably, if I can take an example, like we had a programming language called as a formula translator, probably, but I haven't learned formula translator, or the COBOL. COBOL is another programming language which we had earlier. Probably today I don't see that people use either the Fortran or the COBOL. So they are the specific purpose programming language. They are not general purpose, because when it comes to the specific purpose programming language, it is said that those programming languages are exclusively used to perform a specific task. Probably COBOL programming languages was only used for developing a business applications. And even you take an R language is again probably falls under a specific programming language. The reason is you use it for data analysis, you use it for data science, creating a model for a data science, data visualization is what you can do it through R language. But you want to deploy something where you want to create a web application through R language, probably it is not possible. But Python is one programming language. You name the technology, you can implement those technologies, or you can deploy those models through that particular programming language called as a Python. So that's why we call it as a Python is a general purpose programming language. And here there is something called as a cross-platform. The reason why we call it as a cross-platform programming language is because you write the instruction in a Windows and you want to run the same instruction on the Mac, it gets executed. You write the instruction in any other Linux operating system and you want to run the same instruction on the Windows, it gets executed. So irrespective of the platform, your Python program can be executed. And apart from that, why we call it as a cross-platform is because it can be integrated with the multiple programming languages. Probably Python also has some drawback, like where mobile applications, I mean, probably what you can consider as mobile applications are not much, to develop any mobile applications, your Python is not much used, but we use it. But again, what we need exclusively is some cross-platform applications are there where you integrate those cross-platform integration platforms with the Python to develop the mobile applications. But otherwise, you want to start a Python, but it's very easy. I mean, you can start from today itself. You can start from the moment that I have stopped my. Once I complete the session, you can stop it. I'll show you a couple of websites where you can learn your Python, how you can do it. I'll show you a few quick examples what Python, how Python interface looks like to run your program. I'll just show you that. And the one of the other feature that what I would be talking is an extensive library. We have something called as an inbuilt functions. Why we call this as an inbuilt functions? The libraries are sometimes called as an inbuilt functions. The reason why we call it as an inbuilt function is because probably I don't have to write much instructions. We will write those instructions and we will convert that into our packages or in terms of a libraries, where your Python has enormous library, inbuilt libraries. Rather than writing these instructions repeatedly, you can convert those instructions and keep that in terms of a library, and you can import that library whenever that you want to do the repetitive task again and again. So Python gives like any library functions which are associated with C, C++ or Java, it can be integrated. If any programming languages has any kind of a libraries and which is not available in the Python, Python can be used to integrate that and convert that into a library which can be executed in a Python platform. You talk about any platforms, your Python, you have a rich amount of libraries, inbuilt functions available in Python. And one important point which I want to mention now is Python has a beautiful community support. What exactly this community support is all about? The community support refers to, like, you have a problem whenever you are learning your Python or whenever you're developing some application using a Python and you are struck with some errors and you're not able to debug it or you're not able to identify it. So we have n number of platforms, community platforms or community forums, wherein you can put a query. You can just put a query, and the people who are literally working on Python or the experts who are on Python, working on Python, would definitely give you a solution for it. So you cannot say that I will not get any solution whenever I start writing an application through Python, or whenever I start learning a Python, I do not know if I want how do I solve my doubts. You do not have to keep such kind of a fear. The reason is, it has a beautiful community support, enormous community support. It is available on the onlines, right? I mean, not only these features, we can name multiple features which are associated with the Python programming. But to name few, these are the important features of Python, right? So moving forward, where exactly we see this? Okay, right. What are the applications of Python? Where do we see this? As I told you earlier itself, again, to name, I have only listed few here, but you name the technology, your Python programming can be deployed here. You want to create a website or you want to develop a web application, Python provides a beautiful framework like Django, like Flask. You have n number of frameworks which will help to develop a website and applications for the website. It is not just you use only PHP or you use some MERN, because we also have a full stack development where you can deploy a web with the help of a Python programming as well, because it has n number of web frameworks. To name few, Django is one framework, which is a very known framework. The Flask is another web framework, which can be used for developing applications for websites. Then very, very important today, everybody talks about this data science. Everybody talks about this data analysis. Everybody talks about this data visualization. Apart from R language, another programming language where you can deploy to implement your data science concepts is Python programming. Again, for an artificial intelligence or for a machine learning, when it comes to the machine learning and an artificial intelligence, n number of libraries are available. Like to name few, we have TensorFlow, we have Scikit. For developing any science application, we have something called as Scikit. We use NumPy, we use Pandas. N number of packages are available which will help and support for this machine learning. PyTorch is another package what we have. We have something called as a Keras for image processing. N number of library packages which are available where we can develop models using Python programming for a machine learning or an artificial intelligence. But when I talk about this machine learning and an artificial intelligence, or for any matter, any technology that we are using today, one core thing that what we have to understand, if I want to start Python programming, what is the fundamental thing that I should be aware of? Just a minute, I have a small technical glitch here. Sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry for the interruption in between. Yeah, so I was talking about these applications, but anybody who wants to learn Python, one thing which I would like to tell you is any programming language, or you want to develop any computer applications, or you want to learn any programming language, what is required? One is a basic mathematical concepts. Probably, am I audible? Am I audible and my screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. One thing, without mathematics, I don't feel that you can develop any mathematical model. I mean, you can develop any applications. Maybe web applications, I mean, websites can be developed, but even for that, you should have these mathematics. So especially when you develop a machine learning, whenever you are deploying a data science, whenever you want this artificial intelligence, definitely what is required is you have to know the fundamentals of mathematics. When you know the fundamentals of mathematics, two advantages. One is understanding programming language becomes very easier. The second one is these mathematical equations or mathematics, whatever that you have learned, or the fundamentals will help you to solve the problems in a simple way. You probably, everybody would think that, I mean, because I belong to a computer science background. I see that people say that BCA or BE computer science has a lot of opportunities. Of course, we do have a lot of opportunities in the future, but what is that one thing which is lacking is analytical thinking, problem solving thinking. So to have this problem solving ability, or to have this analytical thinking, or to have this logical reasoning, your basics of mathematics should be very, very strong enough. Or to understand any programming languages, your basics of mathematics should be very, very important. Then only you will be able to understand this machine learning and artificial. So people talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence, and they will quote it in a double quotes that this is a super supreme thing, whatever that which is being there today, but it is not a super supreme thing. It's all the things which have been already introduced way back in 17th or 18th century. But only thing that what we have done is we have advanced with the technology, and we are trying to write an instruction using a Python program and solve those mathematical problems, or develop those mathematical models to solve our problems in a simple way. Programming languages has made the things very simple, right? But apart from that, as far as I am concerned, without this basic science, especially maths and physics, I don't think so. Today, we wouldn't have these computers. Today, we wouldn't have developed any application. So people who thinks that, no, if I can learn Python, I don't want to know mathematics. No, I don't think so. You should know it. You should know the fundamentals. I'm not asking you that you should know a Fourier transformation or a calculus, but if you know that, definitely it would help you to deploy some artificial intelligence models, image processing models, of course, for that matter. I will show you a couple of image processing concepts today, if my time is available, because when we talk about this Python programming, image processing, whatever the Instagram applications that we use today on what we call it as a filters, most of those filters are being developed and deployed with the help of Python programming, where image processing plays a major role and a significant role there, right? So if an image processing application has to be developed, then Python plays a major role there. Again, for an image processing, matrix is very, very important. Probably you know the elements are stored in rows and columns. So matrix, without matrix today, you cannot think about the Instagram images. You add some filters, you convert your images into a black and white, or you convert your images into some sketch, or you make your background blur, which is not possible. It's only possible because of matrix. And we use programming languages like C, C++ or Python to create such kind of filters. So Python or any programming languages have become a tool to solve a problem and make it easier. But rest of the things, the fundamentals of basic science should be there. If you're very interested, I can see what I have seen most of the people talking about. Once I have completed MSc Mathematics, probably I will end up with a teacher. I mean, teaching profession is one of the noblest profession, but still, all your data science, all your data visualizations, statistics are so much important. Your mathematical concepts are so much important to deploy and develop an application for machine learning. Like if you call a machine learning, probably we use a Python programming language to predict this stock market, and to predict who would be going to win this IPL. So for the prediction purpose, we use a machine learning. Again, we are going to make use of a Python programming for it. But one thing which I would like to tell you is, probably we have all learned this linear regression, a concept like straight line equation. These straight line equations are being used for prediction purpose, not everywhere, but to develop a simple mathematical model or simple machine learning model, we use a small basic mathematics which we have learned in our schools and the colleges. But the problem is we do not know where to use it. But Python programming, once Python programming came into an existence, it is a tool which made these things happen looks very simple with writing a few instructions. We don't have to solve a problem with 100 pages. You only bring some, import some packages into it where you can deploy a machine learning applications or an artificial intelligence applications, right? Any programming language for that matter is only used as a tool here. It is not that you should only use Python programming. It is not that you should only use Java. Any programming language can be used, but you should first understand the problem statement. Let us consider, I'll take a simple example. It might feel funny to you. Oh, when I drive my car and if I see my car gets punctured, then I have to take a spanner or I have to take some rings to open those nuts and bolts and remove my tire and see that it gets replaced. For that, I cannot bring a hammer, I cannot bring a seesaw to do it. It's a common sense, right? That's a tool. I should know whenever there is a puncture happen to my car. So it is known that it's a sense that these are the appropriate tools where I'm going to use it to repair it. Programming languages are literally like that. It literally acts like a screwdriver, spanners, and cutting pliers. Only thing that what you should know is how to solve it and what programming language could fit to solve my problem. So any programming language could be used, but Python makes it simple to deploy and implement any application for that matter. Okay, so here I have represented a few of the what are the different programming languages. Recently, what programming languages as per the USA or Europe, the currently demand programming languages. Here is a simple statistics based on the LinkedIn job posting, which was made by USA and Europe. Now you can see that the Python stands first. That's the current in demand. I'm not here to promote the Python programming, but my intention is if anybody wants to start any programming language, there is always a myth that I should know C programming first, I should know C++, then I will be able to understand Python. There is no such kind of things. You can begin with any programming languages, because every programming language has its own fundamentals, right? But if you know C or C++, it would give you a much boost to understand Python better. But if you do not know C, C++ or any other programming language, you don't have to worry. You can start Python programming language today itself. So you will be easily able to understand the things. As I told you, what you have to understand in a programming language is its grammar. And the second thing is where it can be used. That's all. The grammar part is very, very essential, or what we call it as a syntax. You understand the syntax and you know how to solve the problem, then Python is all yours. It will create you a red carpet where you can deploy and develop any kind of application and solve the problem. And most important thing is, if you know Python, at least maybe in an intermediate level, you can develop an applications. If you have a small problems at your home, like maybe an automation is not available. I mean, you want to make your lights automated or a fans automated, or you might want your, you might have your water tank kept above your home and you want to make it automated, or you want to make your water motor pump automated, then Python programming can be used in a very simpler manner. Only the thing is you have to identify the problem statement. Once you identify the problem statement and once you know Python, or you know the grammar of the Python or the syntax of the Python, then as I told you, it's all yours. Python is all yours. So Python has such a huge demand being created in recent times. That doesn't mean that the other programming languages are not being used, but depends upon what is your problem statement, what is the effectiveness of that particular programming language to solve the problem and make it automated so that my problem gets solved. Most of your Python libraries, whatever that we have, is developed and deployed with the help of C and C++. Today, people talk about C programming is not anymore used, or C++ is not anymore used. But no, all these, you can see that in Python. It is, as I told you, it is made so integrated. Python is made so integrated. You can integrate with any other programming languages. But globally, in terms of the demand, Python has become so popular today. Now, these are the different companies where Python programming is used even till today. And these are the few of the applications which are being developed using Python programming. So YouTube is one particular application, which is Google uses Python programming as their core area to develop these applications and make automation. So the major advantage of Python is, as it has a very less number of instructions, you can deploy the large amount of libraries into it. So you always have this, what you can call it as automation made easier through Python. That means you're not writing an instructions 2000 words, 3000 words, 5000 words. With a very less number of instructions, you can build a small applications. And these are the different companies which are popularly using this, and popular companies which are using this Python. And there are few applications, even your ChatGPT, whatever the ChatGPT that we are using today and has become so famous today, even that ChatGPT application is being developed with the help of a Python. So as I told you, it is not restricted to one particular domain or one particular field. You name the domain, your Python can be implemented. So apart from this, I would quickly want to show you a few instructions how a Python can be executed. So if you are interested in learning a Python, probably you can go to this official website. So so there is, meanwhile, before it gets loaded, there is something called as a turtle programming, which has been deployed with the help of a Python. Actually, this turtle programming is, it's a older version of a programming language of Python. Initially, it was called as a logo because a small logo could be created with the help of this programming language called as a logo. But now today it is being coined as a turtle programming. To begin with, to create an interest among the kids, I will also show a simple program which deploys this turtle. So that's how where you can start Python as well. Apart from that, the basics of Python is always available. And this is the website, what you can see here. This is an official website of Python where you can go and download your application and install it. If you have a different operating systems, you can also get the versions for a different operating system. And actually, this is the current version of your Python 3.11.3. And this Python 3.0 was released and launched probably in the year 2008. 2 was launched. The version Python 2 was launched in the year 2000. And now whatever that we use today is 3.0 and above. And this is the latest version of the Python. Probably it might be about 80 MB to 100 MB. You can simply download and install it and run your, you can start executing your Python programming. So this is a website. You can go through this website. But before that, I would like to show you how that once you install it, how that I'm not going to show you the installation process, but I'll just show you how the interface of it, how it looks like. So this is a Python IDE, integrated development environment, where I'll be able to execute my Python program or the instructions. So you can see here, as of now, the Python version which has been installed in my laptop is 3.6, but currently you have the latest version, which is 3.11 and above version that you can use. And I was talking about the Python is an interpreted language, and I was talking about the Python is an interactive. Why? Because see here, it literally acts as, you can see, I am going to write a simple instruction using a Python here, and it literally looks like a calculator for you. So a simple instruction where I would like to write it is, I want to add two numbers, 2 plus 3. Now you get the answer. This is why we call it as an interactive. Python is an interactive because as you give the instruction, you get the results very quickly, right? So I can store some values in the variables, y is equals to 7, and then perform some operations like print x plus y. Now it's soon after giving some instructions, it gets you the output. So 5 plus 7 is a 12. So this is the fundamentals of Python, which has been where you can use this Python shell or an IDLE, and you can learn from the basics. I'll also show you a couple of websites where you can you can begin learning your Python programming. So this is how it looks like. Then there is another thing which I would like to show you. I was talking about this turtle programming. Let me share the screen again. Now here, this is the instructions which I have written, probably to create a benzene ring, a color ring. I don't want to call it as a benzene ring, but let it be for me, it is a benzene ring, but it's a beautiful color circles or a rangoli, whatever that you can call it as, right? So I'll not go into the details of these instructions. So Turtle is one of the package, which is a part of, this is a Python program, which I have created with the help of a turtle, but this will definitely create a curiosity among the people to create some shapes. And even this turtle programming can be used to teach some shapes in mathematics or even in physics as well. So let me run this and see at the right side. You can see this is a program. I'm going to run this. At the right side, you will find the output of that. Now you can see that, as I told you, this is a turtle. Turtle is a cursor. It's a name what it has been given. This instruction is been given to create a different a pentagon shape with a different colors, right? So you can see that the 360 degrees is what my turtle has to go through. That's why I have given this as a 360 degrees here. And how far I have to move my turtle forward, how far I have to turn left towards this cursor. I have given an instruction. See, this instruction is used to control this cursor, whatever this turtle or the cursor that's been moving here. I have simply controlled that cursor so that that cursor is going to create a shape for me. So beautiful this shape is being created with the help of a simple and few instruction lines here. Now you can see that the different colors which I have given that can generate the shapes here. Probably the latest version of the the Python ideally would not support with the turtle, but you can still have an online compile or interpreters where you can still learn your turtle programmings. So it looks very beautiful, right? So we have seen a number of examples where the logo has been created with the help of this turtle programming. That's why it was earlier called as the logo programming. Okay. There is one question in the chat box. I would answer that question at the end. Then the last one, which I would like to tell you is, I was talking about this in image processing. That's my area of interest as well, image processing using Python, machine learning and deep learning. But I would like to show you one real-time applications, as Rajeshwari madam was asking about where do we exactly use it. Every aspects you can use Python programming, but I would like to show you that. As I was talking to you, we use a lot of filters in Instagram, and all these filters are been designed and developed with the help of your Python itself. So, when we capture an image through a photo and we have something called as convert that into a grayscale, or convert that into a black and white, or convert that into a, what you can call it as a sketch. You want to see your image in terms of a sketch. If you do not know how to sketch, but your application can create a sketch of yours. So here is a simple Python program, which I would like to display here. I have a color image where this particular program would show you how this color image could convert into a black and white. So I have some inbuilt packages. I don't want to get into the details of it, but I would be showing you how what is the output of this. How this is a Python programming which I have written it. It takes a bit of time. Right. It can be used in stock market, what you can call it as. Okay, yes, of course, most of the colleges today are providing this Python programming, especially in computer science department. It's not only given in computer science department, it is also given in various departments, because as I told you, electronics department also need to make most of the things automated. So it is being used in Internet of Things. So they do have this. Oh, I think, yes, sure. Now it takes a bit of time to execute the program because I'm using this PyCharm. I will answer all your queries later because after after explaining this, I would like to conclude my session. So, okay, now you can see here, there are two different images. Now this is a color image, what we generally call it as an RGB image. With the help of a Python programming, now this image now got converted into a black and white. This is not basically a black and white. We call this as a grayscale, right? But for a common layman, we consider this is a black and white image, correct? So now a simple Python programming, you can see a few instructions being written here, which can get converted your color image into a black and white image. And I would also show you another example here. That's thresholding, where I want to create a sketch of this person, the same image, whatever that we have. So I would like to create a sketch of it. I have a simple program here. Okay, so now you can see that this is a virginal image and I have written a simple Python programming which got now converted into a simple sketch. This is generally called as, technically we call it as a thresholding technique. There are n number of thresholding techniques available, right? So such kind of an applications can be created with a simple few instructions. See, there is no rocket science being present here. A few mathematical instructions which are combined and put together in a package. So you have some instructions here and inbuilt packages which will help you to convert, which will help you to make the things automated. So before I wind up, so fortunately, I got an opportunity to write a book on Python. So if anybody is interested, especially as a beginner, if anybody is interested to learn Python, so you can ping me out, or you can also ask Supriya Madam. Probably you can get the copies of it. There are few websites where you can learn, like Programese is one website where you can learn Python program. Then W3 Schools is another website where you can learn Python programming. N number of online resources are there. And Python official website has their own tutorial. But to begin with, I had quoted a couple of them, like Programese, W3 Schools. You can start doing it. You can start learning the Python programming. But for any programming language, the basics is very, very important. For me, basics are mathematics or the basic science. So thanks for giving an opportunity. If any questions are there, the questions are open for you.
Thank you, Ajit sir. If any questions, you can ask. I'm giving permission to unmute yourself. Vismaya?
Sir, what is the cost of those books, what you've written?
Sir, you're muted. Ajit sir.
That is, your madam knows it. So if any copies are required, you can ask your Supriya Madam. There are few questions in the chat box. How can Python be used in real-time life? What applications to run applications? So to run any Python programming, one is Python IDLE, whatever that I have shown can be used. PyCharm is another IDLE which can be used to run Python. There are few online platforms where you can run your Python instructions, like Jupyter Notebook. It can be installed into your system, or it can also be executed online itself. Google has created a platform to run a Python called as a Google Colabs, Colaboratory. Google Colaboratory, it is an exclusively meant to run a Python programming. So you don't, PyCharm is one application where you can install it, download and install it and run that Python programming in your system itself. But this Google Colabs, you do not have to install it. You only need your Gmail account. With the help of your Gmail account, you can simply run it. Apart from that, Python IDLE, the website which I have shown you, you can download that particular application. You can install that application IDLE and Python IDLE, which is from an official website of a Python, and you can run the Python. But the sophisticated applications, you want to run more, you want to develop machine learning, you want to develop some image processing concepts. To install PyCharm, you can use. You want to run or develop through online, then you can make use of Google Colabs. Sir, any colleges in engineering? Yes, today every computer science courses or non-computer science courses, they have introduced this Python programming. Even there are few instances where basics of Python is also introduced for BCom and BBA students, but which is an optional. Any instructions? Can I know common instructions which are used to write Python programming? Hello.
Yes, sir. Sir, Rajan sir, Nana.
Sir, namaste.
Sir, Jeff Jesse Chintamani, sir, physics department.
Sir, hello.
Jeff Jesse Chintamani, sir.
Heli, sir.
This Python in the predictions, ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು sir ಇದು?
Sir, Python in the predictions ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ sir. Machine learning ಏನು concepts ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ sir. Technology, we have something called as a machine learning language today. Machine learning technology today. You can use Python programming to develop machine learning instructions which can perform a prediction. One simple example ತಗೋಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್, ಒಂದು ಸ್ಲೋಪ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ನಾವು, ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಲೈನ್ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ y is equals to mx plus c. y is equals to mx plus c ನ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಈಗ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ 15 ದಿವಸದ್ದು ಶೇರ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಆ 15 ದಿವಸದ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು 16ನೇ ದಿವಸದ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಿಡಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಸರ್. ಆ ತರ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ಅದು ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಒನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಸರ್.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, we have another one question from the
Yes,
student.
yes, please.
Sir, my name is Chandana Vijay.
Yes,
PhD Chintamani.
yes.
What is the how is memory is managed in the Python, sir?
In terms of what, I mean, see, one thing which I would like to tell you is Python is compared to C, C++ or Java programming, it is quite slower, right? And when it comes to this garbage collection, Python has an exclusivity to handle these garbage collections. The major problem of handling this memory management is to avoid these garbage collections. Java like programming language has implicitly can handle garbage collection. So Python can also handle these garbage collections as well. As it can handle these garbage collections effectively, memory management can be handled, I mean, in a next level, But compared to any other programming language, Python is a bit slower.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
That's
Yes,
one of the.
Ma'am, we have still more questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
As we have printf and scanf functions, we use it for our C and C++ programming.
Yes.
What are the main instructions what we can use it in Python programming, sir?
To display any instructions on the screen, we use print. To read a value from the keyboard, we use a method called as an input. To display, we have print is a method what we use in Python. To read any value from the keyboard, we have a method called as input. Through those two, you can perform input and output operation in Python.
Sir, as I said, we have data to be collected here in the Python.
Yes.
Here we have globally, like once we have declared the variable value for that, completely it will take it into account. In even
Ma'am,
programming
yes,
also,
yes.
we have a global variable.
Yes.
We define it. So
Yes.
it will be different than from Python programming.
Ma'am, here, things whatever that we have is not seen in terms of variables. As Python is an object-oriented programming, Python looks every element in terms of an object itself. So you can handle your Python by creating a user-defined function with the help of DEF, and there you can define whether it has to be globally accessed, whether it can be locally accessed. You have a provision to make it, ma'am. It depends upon what is your problem statement, but it is not looked as in terms of a variable there. Everything is looked in terms of an object.
Can I change the values in between if I need it?
Definitely you can do it. Definitely you can do it. That again depends upon your requirement.
Thank you, sir. Again, one more question we have, sir.
Yes,
from the-
yes. Please.
Good evening, sir.
Very
Myself,
good evening.
Anamika. Using Python, can we do any physics projects, sir?
Sorry, I just forgot to tell you, there is one particular website called as a VLabs, Virtual Labs. That application is completely developed with the help of Python itself, especially coming to the simulation part. So there are n number of experiments which exclusively have to be demonstrated in the labs. But with the help of a programming languages like Python, helps us to develop a simulations. You can go and Google it, called as a VLabs, n number of physics experiments which cannot be, where we think that you need some components to complete the experiments. It can be done through the simulations. A simulation softwares for a physics applications can be done, even probably in astronomy or for image processing, because again, when it comes to the image processing, global image system processing, you need this Python instruction. So without this Python, I don't think so. Most of the applications being developed use Python, especially simulators. Simulators are developed with the help of Python. So you can look into this VLabs now, Virtual Labs, where you also get some experiments being done for a physics, but those experiments are the simulators are developed with the help of Python. You can do it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Kamsale sir.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಇವತ್ತೇ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಒಂಚೂರು ಬಿಡು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು. ಕಂಗ್ರಾಟ್ಸ್ ಅಜಿತ್ ಸರ್, ಯು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ಡ್ ವೆಲ್.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir, he is
I'm
my
professor from Department of
MSc.
Physics of Bangalore University.
Sir?
I'm professor from Department of Physics of Bangalore University.
Okay.
Yeah, I was interested in the recreative, and
Okay.
I joined today. Waiting for last
one of our physics faculty, I mean, one of my colleague who is from a physics department, he is into this material science. He has done his PhD in material science field. So probably I don't know what are those names, but now we have started developing. He has some statistics based on his experiments. Now we have started using this Python instructions to predict the next values based on his experimental studies. Now we want to analyze few things. So now we have started working on that.
Good, nice. Yeah, it's a very well program. Programming is going on very well, actually. Just I thought of supporting them and joining my hands also.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Girish sir.
Thank you, Supriya. That was a fantastic talk.
Thank you, Girish sir. Thank you, sir. Probably I had got an opportunity to sketch your portrait. Hope, if I'm not wrong.
Thank you. Yes, that's right. So I just wanted to know. So some introduction to some extensions like NumPy or SciPy. These could have been much better appreciated.
Yes.
So,
I mean, as a beginners, probably if I talk about much about this NumPy and SciPy, probably my Supriya ma'am had told me to only concentrate on the basics of it. So otherwise, I would have taught and explained clearly about this NumPy and SciPy.
Maybe I was not clear. What I meant is like, what are the availabilities? So that we can actually extend this some very easily to much multi-domains, and particularly even in astronomy and astrophysics, Python is used freely. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing is, you try to actually stress upon, but I'm not sure whether the listeners got it or not. This is a structured program, unless like others, like where you use like brackets, etc. So that was another thing. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful one, and I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Any more questions?
ChatGPT, definitely it's not going to affect. I mean, this has become $100 questions today. $1 million question is ChatGPT is going to replace or an AI is going to replace the job? Definitely no. Ultimately, human brains and human thought process is very, very important, and that plays a major role on any other technology. Today, it is Python. Probably when we were learning Java during our graduation time, we thought that Java is the ultimate. If you know Java, you could earn any amount of money. So that's how it is. But today, we have another programming language which has been coming, and probably people are talking about this, called as a Julia. Julia is one programming language where now for data science or for any machine learning or deep learning concepts, this Julia is being used. And it's been predicted that Julia could take over Python, especially on these machine learning and deep learning concepts. So if somebody is interested, can also look into this programming language called as Julia. Some other technology would be definitely there. Some other programming language would be definitely there. But only the thing that what we have to deploy ourselves is how to solve a problem, analytical skills, mathematical skills, problem solving methodologies. Very, very important.
Okay. I think we can wind up here, sir. I hope.
Okay. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity.
Sir, I could like to thank you very much for sharing a huge knowledge and experience on Python programming with us. Your insights were truly enlightened us and inspiring, and we are grateful for the time and the effort you took to prepare and deliver such an informative session. Thank you very much, sir. And I thank everyone for listening Ajit sir talk. Thank you one and all for joining us.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Here.